Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads, and I'm here to do a little bit of crafting with my reading today. Happy weekend. I don't know if it's the weekend when I'm posting this. I have no idea when I'm posting this, but for me, it is Saturday morning and I decided to get up to something a little bit crafty today. Something historically on my Bookstagram that I've shared through stories is when I do various crafts. I have a craft subscription where they send a different craft project every month and I am woefully behind on those. And I also do beading and create jewelry. I also do a lot of crochet. The crochet you've definitely seen before in a lot of my vlogs if you've been around for a little bit, but the crafting I haven't got up to nearly as much as I've wanted to, incorporating it into vlogs and things like that. So I figure maybe just using crafting to inspire my reading might be the way to go. For one of my vlogs sometime back, I think it was one where I was randomizing things in general, I decided to pick a random craft project from the stack of craft projects that I have. And I decided to resurrect that and go ahead and add the projects that have come in since then and put them kind of on a spinner wheel, rather than actually have to go through all my projects and figure out what they are and put them on a spinner wheel that way. I've created a spinner wheel that just has numbers and all of my craft boxes are numbered, and it's just the easiest way to go. With this one, I'm not including crochet, but I have decided the highest number on here where I don't have a craft box, that'll be for a beading project. So if I happen to land on the highest number, that's what that corresponds to. Now, in all fairness, there are going to be craft projects I come across that are way too old and the paint's all dried up and things like that, so I might have to re-spin if that were the case. But without further ado, let's go ahead and pick a craft. And then the idea is to try to find a book that obviously has an audiobook because I need to be able to listen while I'm crafting that somehow corresponds to the craft. Some crafts this is going to be easier or harder, but we'll see how it goes. I'm a little nervous to find out what our first craft is going to be. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Ready, set, and spin. Craft number 28. Now, this does lose the drama of the fact that I don't immediately know what this is, and I'm going to spare you the trauma that I'm going to have to go through digging through boxes to find Craft 28, but I will be right back with Craft 28. All right, I pulled out the kit for 28 and it has an extremely broken board involved. I don't know how much you can tell, but this is definitely not going to work. I can probably get it repaired by my dad with some wood glue. He is quite handy and I'm sure he's got wood glue sitting around, but I don't think it's going to go back together quite well. So this may be a scrap and that's okay. We will move on to our next pick. I did want to show you what the craft basically was going to be and why I'm not super bothered about not necessarily doing this particular one. This is the kit and what it was meant to be. It was to basically paint and assemble a kind of wall hanging type of thing using the wood, painting the wood, leather, and then putting some fake flowers in it. It's cute, but not something I'm necessarily going to be really sad not to have on my walls. So at the same time, not too bothered. I'm clearing out a craft from my collection and moving on. I'll put the flowers to use in some Instagram pictures and put the materials away. I'm sure they'll come in handy for something else at a later date. And to be perfectly clear, Adults and Crafts is really good about replacing items if they're broken. I'm pretty sure this one's my fault. The box was sitting under another heavy box. I think that probably cracked the wood. The wood probably had a little bit of a fault in it. There is a pre-drilled hole in it, so that probably kind of gave it an opportunity to crack there, but that's okay. Okay, let's hope we have a little bit more success on this next spin. Ready, set, oh, need to screen record. Ready, set, and spin. $17, so we're going for an older one this time. Let's see if that one gives us more success. All right, I am giving myself a workout before I even get started here, but I found number 17, which at the point I actually originally numbered everything, I did label them. So I know this is a gold leaf wood sign. So there we go. And let's see what we have in the box. So with these kits, they will give you the materials list, an image of what one of the options of what you can make is. They'll also, in the instructions, kind of give you some alternate options as well. I don't want to give away all their materials, but that gives you an idea. This one, I think probably I'd want to kind of do the kind of more artsy one rather than have to be really fiddly with making it in specific letters that might not turn out perfectly. It's not going to turn out perfectly anyway. I may enjoy crafts. I'm not necessarily the best at them, but we shall see how it goes. Let's see what our materials are we're working with. So we've got paints in different colors. We've got a gilding adhesive, which is still liquid, so that's a good sign. We've got our sheets of what I assume to be the gold foiling material in here, paintbrushes, and yeah, that looks like that. And thankfully, a board that is entirely intact. This is actually bigger than I expected it to be, but it'll be fun. It will fit on my shelves if it turns out well. So now the question is, what are we gonna read? I'm thinking if I can find a book that has black, white, and gold on it, I think that would be a good option. If I could find kind of gold edges on a book, I could kind of go with the wood theme and a book about the woods. I have no idea. I need something with audio so I can craft and read. And that means I need to put some thought into this. And while I'm cleaning up, I will put that thought in. Hello. Kylie's currently on the table. Yep, there she is. Investigating to make sure I set everything up properly. She will not be allowed on the table once the paint comes out, but in the moment I decided she was really excited to see what I was doing. So yeah, if you suddenly see a puppy butt walk by, you know why. Anyway, I'm all set up. I already repurposed some of the supplies from that craft kit that I scrapped because the painter's tape came in really handy to lay down a layer of wax paper so I don't ruin my nice table. Could you be a little louder, little buddy? In any case, I did clear a spot on my table. Not the best lighting here. I really need to get like another light over here, I think. So that may be on the agenda. And then from there, I did pick a book. So like we are working with a design that's black, white, and gold. I went through my shelves. I went through my special editions. I figured that would be the best way to find some things that had gold on them. What did you knock over? There is now a puppy laying on my craft project. So that's fun. Yeah, you laying on the board? I'm not gonna draw you on it, sorry. I don't have that much skill. She says she's not black, but she is white and gold. So she's somewhat on theme. Yeah. All right, sorry, this is chaotic. I recognize that. But the book that I found that has an audio available is Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This is one that I've seen reviews kind of all over the place, so I'm really curious if I wind up needing to find something else or not, or if I am going to enjoy this one. But my library had the audio available. This is the really, really pretty, you're not gonna be able to see it in this light, Lumicrate edition. I'll try to give you a better shot of it when I'm standing with better lighting at some point. But this one, do I remember anything about it exactly? No. Fate is a cruel mistress. The daughter of a powerful but disgraced blood worker, Shan has spent her entire life perfecting her blood magic, building her network of spies, and gathering scraps of power. Now, to protect her brother, she assassinates their father and takes her place at the head of the family, and that is only the start of her revenge. I do love a good female rage, female revenge story, so hopefully that's a good sign. I am ready to put my pretty edition far, far away from any paint, and I have my supplies here, which Kylie wants to approve. We've got acrylic paint in white, acrylic paint in navy blue, so I guess we could have gone with a blue, gold, and white or some combination, but I'm happy with our black, white, and gold plan, and acrylic paint in black. And hopefully these are all still in good condition. They seem to be, and if not, I definitely have other acrylic paints floating around the house. And we've got a cup, which I'm sure we'll have a use at some point. We've got gilding adhesive, so this is to attach the gold, and this one is still very liquidy, so that's a good sign. We have our gilding papers, I'm assuming, and a selection of different brushes. So we shall see how this goes. Let me know in the comments below. Put in your opinions now. Am I going to make something that looks at all decent, or is this going to be a flop? Because there have definitely been some crafting flops in the past. I'm going to get Kylie off the table. I'm going to re-tape down the spots of my wax paper that she has managed to pull up a bit, and we will get started on the book and on the project. So I've made it through the first stage of my project. As you saw, I have painted basically the board half white, half black. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need a perfect line between the two colors because there's going to be gold foiling over the middle part. My paintbrush that came with this kit, when washing it, I maybe washed it a little too ambitiously, or it just wasn't quite glued in place, or because it's old, it fell apart. But again, the scrapped kit from earlier came in handy, and I was able to get a paintbrush out of that one. And the edges were just a little too hard to do with the big bristly one, so that's okay. Between the two things, finally got that done. I also used from the kit earlier, it had some wooden blocks to go into the creation of the wall hanging thing, and those were quite handy for putting the project I'm working on now up on a little bit of a stand so I could swing it around easily and not have to worry about painting the wax paper underneath, although I did some of that as well, but that's okay. Anyway, at this stage it needs to fully dry, so I'm going to take off and go relax, probably make another cup of coffee, hang out with Kylie, play some fetch. She's been wanting to play fetch. She's very, probably you can hear her, she's playing with one of her toys that she brought me to try to play fetch, but I didn't think that was a good idea while I had paint on my hand. So that's the plan. With the book, I am now about a whole 5% in, so definitely going to take longer for the book than the project, but that's okay because the paint drying time will be good reading time as I hang out with Kylie. The opening definitely started strong. We've got our one main character. I have read on in the synopsis a little bit to figure out we have more than one main character, but the main character, Sean, is the daughter of a blood worker, and she needs to protect her brother. So she and her brother's boyfriend enact a plan to kill off her father, and they succeed as that. That means she then takes the place as head of the family. And so that's kind of the opening sequence. There's talk of her saying, I should care that I'm killing my father, but I don't. There's definitely a plot. There's more things to come from her, I think, in this revenge. The other character we've just met at this point is Samuel, and he is someone who is outside of the big families. He's someone who's poor or looked down upon, is my initial impressions with him, and he's just come across a body. And this is the body of someone who has been killed by a blood worker, it looks like. And from the synopsis, we know this is the start of him discovering that there is a serial killer and him getting, I think, involved in the investigation for that. And that the intrigue and all of that is going to tie into these big families, which I assume would include Sean. So with that, I am intrigued. The book reviews, I went back and looked, and people I trust have given this like 2 and 3 stars or DNF'd it. So I'm a little worried about it, but we're going to keep going. I am intrigued enough to continue and going to give this some time. We are sitting underneath a fan, which should help. This paint dries pretty quickly. I might need to do like a second coat on it. We'll see once it, fully dries what I'm feeling about it. The black in particular, I think probably could use a touch up, but we shall see. So this is off to a good start. I'm glad I'm doing this. It's a fun kind of cozy day. I have my wax melt going with a pumpkin scented wax, and I've got my pumpkin spice coffee going from Nespresso, and excited to be having just kind of a cozy morning. I have groceries coming soon, and other than that, I don't have plans for today. With this cough that I'm still trying to get rid of, I didn't really want to go out and be among people, so I'm gonna go wash my paintbrushes so they're ready for round 2 and then go continue reading. I'm back. This has dried fairly well, but I think I do want to put another coat of paint on it. So I'm going to talk to you about the book so far. Not that I think I have that many thoughts, but I'm going to talk to you about the book so far while I go ahead and add some paint. You don't necessarily care about seeing me add more paint. You've already seen me painting. It wasn't that exciting the first time, I'm sure. So the book, I am currently 45% of the way through it. I think it's fine. It's not exciting. It's not necessarily gripping. Mind you, I did not get my second cup of coffee this morning, so that also could be contributing. I'm a little bit draggy today, so maybe I will have a nice afternoon coffee. As I was cleaning up actually to make room over here, I found a cold brew that came in one of my book boxes, most likely a Nightworm subscription type thing. So maybe I will make myself a nice afternoon cold brew, and maybe that'll help me pick up a little bit. The 2 main characters get to meet each other fairly quickly. We learn pretty early on, so I don't feel like it's spoilery too much, that our main character, Sam, has connections to people of a higher station than himself, and that is going to play into our main character, Shan, and her plans and plotting and schemes. The relationship between the two is new. They didn't know each other in the past, but it's going a little bit quickly for my taste. Not that they're like in a relationship currently, but they're definitely definitely is some very immediate insta attraction going on between them. And especially given that we're pretty confident that Shan is not the best person in terms of her motives and her plotting and so forth, and the way she's definitely using Samuel, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that going forward. I've also kind of looked at some reviews, because the review for this book, or the scores rating, that's the word I'm looking for this book, is like 3.26, so not very good. Second book, a little bit higher, I think it's like 3.44, but it's not a duology, and so far I don't think there's word on when book 3 is coming out. I read some of the reviews for book 2, and I think, yeah, I'm probably not going to wind up continuing the series. It talks about book 2 feeling much more mature, much more smut heavy, and so far this book has not at all been smutty. There's definitely attraction and things going through people's heads, but I wouldn't consider it a smutty read by any means so far. And the tone apparently changes quite a lot in that regard in book 2, and that's something that I have a problem with some romantasy series, is you get kind of an initial relationship, you get a lot of plot in the first book, and the second book not so much. So I don't know. Obviously, I'm not even through this book to know how I'm gonna even like it toward the end. Currently, it's feeling like a 3-star read, but also not one I'm like racing to put back down. So not too bothered by that. It's kind of an easy, kind of consumable read. I am liking kind of the politics of it all. There's a lot of different pieces in play. We have the blood workers. We have kind of this interesting, I guess, magic system tied to blood work that our characters are learning about and learning more about, kind of the extent of what that ability is and what that system is, and I do kind of like hearing about that, so I am intrigued by parts of it. I think the murder mystery aspect could have some interesting things depending on where the book goes with it, so I'm gonna keep going. That's how it's gonna go, and I am gonna put a little bit more. I need to clean my brush and then put on, I've been touching up the white end of this. I need to do a little bit on the edges for the white, and then definitely the black is a little more not finished looking. I don't know what the word is actually I'm looking for there, but that's okay. We'll just make it up as we go. So in any case, I will keep going on this, and then once this fully dries, I will be back with you and we will see about actually adding the gilding onto it, because that's the part I think that's going to be interesting to see how that works. I'm back. As you can probably tell from the lighting, it is indeed much later, and I am back at the point where I have now hit 75% or so in my book. I took a little bit of a break. I did some booktube watching, just laid in bed for a little while with Kylee, chatting with people on Discord. Currently on Lexie with Books with Lexie's Patreon, we are doing a Traders Escape the Readathon edition, and this is always so much fun. There's a lot of banter, there's a lot of smack talk, there's a lot of just friendly rivalry going on, figuring out who the traitor among us is, and I really love how Lexie sets these up. They're a lot of fun. They're going to be running within her Patreon for like 2 weeks or until the traitors are revealed. Last year, I was having a really rough time at the end of the year with family stuff going on and so forth, and the Traders Readathon was a highlight, and I got to be one of the traitors last year late in the game and had so much fun with that. So I'm really excited. I am not a traitor this time, sadly. I am pulling for and submitting my reading for the actual accomplishment of the team this time around. So that's been going on. So I was chatting in Discord a lot. I also realized I didn't really talk about the fact that I am participating in the Dungeons Book Dragons Readathon this month, and I am on Team Rogue, and the readathon is brought to us by Ivy at Ivy the Geek Goddess, and it is a fun Dungeons and Dragons style readathon. I've been having a lot of fun with that. The book that I'm reading for this particular vlog is going to work really well. 2 of the prompts that we have for side quests this time are to read a anti-hero or a villain POV, and I don't know, something about killing your dad in the first chapter kind of speaks to that. There is also a prompt about a book involving secrets and things like that, so 100% it would fit for that as well. And my team, the Rogues, get some bonus points if you have some morally gray characters, and that for sure is working in this book. So it may not be my new favorite book, but it definitely is helping out for my readathon journey. So I am back to move on to the next step. The next thing I have to do is add the gilding adhesive to the project, and then again I need to take a break and let it dry. I have some, I don't think it's probably visible back there, but my chicken noodle soup is not noodly yet, but the chicken soup portion of it is on the stove cooking away. No clue what time I put it on, which was dumb of me, but that's okay. That's fine. It's not like soup really is super critical on timing. So as long as the chicken's done, we're good. I am going to go ahead and and add some adhesive, listen to my audiobook for a little while again, and then I have to wait for it to kind of dry a bit, get tacky a little bit, and then I can add the actual gilding, which is the final step and the little bit of a scary step. So in terms of design, obviously I've just at this point made a board that's roughly half and half, and my idea is to kind of create a stripy effect down the middle. No clue what I'm doing. The book for this vlog is feeling a little floppy, so I'm hoping this craft is not. So we'll see. I need to apply this and then we will go on from there. All right, I am back with final thoughts and final reveal for our book and our art project, and we'll see. So the book, I wound up liking some of the twists and turns and reveals that we got at the end, but honestly, it didn't really redeem itself for me. Sorry, I had to take away a couple really loud toys from Kylie, who is being very nice, letting me film, but apparently ready to go play fetch. She is going to now sit here and stare at me until I am done. So, like I was saying, there were some reveals and so forth toward the end and some twists that I liked. I liked that it got dark in places. I liked that this one had a lot of diversity. We've got a Filipino queer trans author. That representation also shows up in the story. We've got a variety of characters in here with different representations, and I really like that about it. Like I said, there were things toward the end that had me more interested and picked up my interest. The middle part really just dragged too much for this to ultimately get redeemed in my mind. I think the ending brought it back up to a 3. It was slightly dipping below that point for a while there, but it's not one that I'm looking to pick up book 2, especially since I've seen in the reviews of book 2 that it gets a lot smuttier, a lot less plot heavy, and not that this one was super plot heavy. I think the world building I really liked, but it didn't go into depth. We kind of get lost in the relationships. We have the love triangle in here, which is never my favorite plot device, and the kind of side relationships and stuff in here really take a lot of focus, and that's fine if that's what you're looking for. It's just not for me necessarily, and from the reviews I'm gathering even those who maybe were looking for that didn't love it. I don't know. I felt myself just kind of drifting mentally away from this as I was working, and that's not usually a problem for me when I'm doing crafting and reading at the same time. So yeah, like I said, 3 on the lower end of a 3, but there were enough things about this that I did like that it's landing there. So with that done, that felt a little floppy, but that's okay because now we have our art reveal using art in a very, very loose context. But this is how my project turned up. I'm not sure how with the lighting this is going to go. I may need to try to take a better picture of it and put that up, but I'm actually kind of happy with how it turned out. Is it exactly what I pictured when I applied the foil? No, not necessarily. It definitely, I was hoping for a little more definition between the different lines or a little gaps between the different lines, but it was really hard to see the bonding agent on the white. It showed up pretty well on the black, but the white really made it hard to see. So I think I'm really overall happy with this. I'm not going to hang it on the wall, but I am going to make a spot for it on my bookshelves. So this will be in the background at some point, probably. You'll see this again. But overall, I would say this one was not a complete flop, so I'm happy, even if the book wasn't a new favorite. Let me know in the comments below. Are you a crafter? Do you have any artistic hobbies? Let me know all the things. I definitely had fun doing this. I think I feel a little pressure doing this, like for the art project to turn out decently. So that makes me nervous, but I definitely want to do more of these. I think I had fun. It got me to a project that I needed to get to. It got me to a book that I've been needing to pick up to decide if it's staying on my shelves. Unfortunately, it's not. But overall, I think I'm counting this as a success. If you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, leave me a art-related emoji in the comments below to let me know you were here. But for now, I'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my artistic and crafty endeavors, more of my book reviews, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.